Have you ever listened to a song and just felt inspired? Or perhaps you put on specific music to change your mood? Well, you're not alone. My guest today knows that feeling very, very well. Hello and welcome to Creativity Uncovered. My name is Abby Gatling and I am on a journey to uncover how everyday people find inspiration, get inventive, and open their imagination. Basically, I want to know how people find creative solutions and then how they use them at home, work, play, and everything in between. And my goal for the podcast is that by the end of it, you will be armed with a whole suite of tried and tested ways to summon creativity the next time that you need it. Today, I'm really excited to be speaking with Birgit Livesey from Living on the B-Side. Welcome.
Oh, welcome. I'm so excited to be here, Abby.
I'm really looking forward to this chat because we did speak a couple of weeks ago and it was a lovely little chat. And I had so many more questions to ask you. I was like, no, I've got to save it for the podcast. And now is my opportunity.
Yay.
Yeah. So, okay. So you describe yourself as an introverted music lover and you're really passionate about the impact that music can have on people. There's a lot going on there and there's so many things to talk about. Tell me, let's start with the music side of things because I'm sure everything else will come out from there. Tell me, what is the impact that music has on people and how did you discover that this was the case?
The impact of music on people? Well, I think God, the answer is kind of there already. I mean, I don't know anyone that doesn't listen to music. So that in itself is kind of an answer. And most people I know go to concerts, they switch on the radio in the old days, or these days they have a Spotify playlist. So subconsciously, we all are impacted by music if we notice it or not. I've always been a music lover ever since I remember. I listened to the radio because my parents had it on. My mum kind of pushed me into learning an instrument. She signed me up for extra rhythm classes and, I did dance classes, singing classes. So it was kind of always there. And it's something I always enjoyed. Now, really conscious about my love of music and how it's impacted me personally happened I think it's about 5-ish years ago when I actually went on a journey to discover I'm an introvert. And whilst I was digging into that, it came to my attention that music is so connected to me being an introvert. So that kind of discovery around how much more impactful it is for me alongside introversion, that's kind of a package, it came together. And it was very interesting to see how I'm using music, but very subconsciously to help me digest the world and help me figure out what I'm feeling and why. So this is where this whole journey started for me about 5 years ago. And it's not stopped. It just keeps going. It's, it kind of always goes a little bit deeper. It's like an onion. You sort of peel back one more layer. All of a sudden you go, oh, that. Okay. Yeah, well, better find out about that. And wow, I didn't realize that. So it's a journey that's just keeps going. It's just, it doesn't stop.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So tell me, how did you discover that you were an introvert?
I've always wondered why I'm weird. That was no, seriously, that was a question I've asked myself ever since I can remember, especially around puberty. When I was about 12-ish, it's when you sort of hit all the hormones and everything and you sort of try to find your way in the world and your place in the world as well. And I always noticed that I'm not operating the same as others. I didn't have 20 odd friends. I might have had only a couple. I spend a hell of a lot of time on my own, but I never felt lonely. So when I look back, these are sort of like a little not symptoms, but a little sort of hints that, I'm probably more on the introverted side. I don't need big masses. I don't need huge entertainment. And I might have looked at the world a little bit differently. But the term introversion, I don't think at that point was even there. So, as I said, about 5 years ago, I met a lady and she was literally there to help introverted women in business with their marketing. And I'm like, introversion? What is that? So when I sort of started following her and she explained what it is, I'm like, oh my God, I've had like all these light bulbs going off above my head going, she talks about me. This is how I walk through the world. I'm not lonely. Like in the sense of it makes sense now. Wow, I understand now why that energizes me and this over here is draining me. Huh. So this was really the moment where I put the pieces together and it was like a sigh of relief, sort of finally understanding the way I tick and that I'm not crazy or I'm a weirdo or I'm an outsider. I'm just an introvert. And that's great.
Wow. So this has sort of helped you connect the dots, even though you always felt that throughout your entire life. This has helped you connect the dots between how you're feeling and kind of putting a name to it, or kind of, or like what did it mean to actually have a name assigned to that?
Yes. I mean, I'm not huge on labels, but sometimes it's a great starting point for us to dive into it and understand what's going on. And yeah, that for me, definitely. Once I knew there was something that described who and how I am, oh, can't tell you. It was just such a relief because, yeah, all my life I walked through life thinking, what's wrong with me? And then that's not a nice feeling to have, walking through more than half of your life thinking something is not right, something's wrong with you when there isn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, I'm so glad that this kickstarted a journey for you. So what what happened after that, and where did music come into this whole thing?
Well, what happened after that is I connected with many more, especially introverted women that had their own business as well. And that, again, was such an eye opener. And just seeing the different shades of that as well helped a lot. And music then came in when I started to think about the times when I struggled and how I coped with that struggle. And I noticed that there was always music. So I thought, okay, so I know I'm a music lover, but maybe there's a bit more. So after a lot of journaling and digging and reflection and paying a bit more attention, I realized, well, music is kind of the one thing that was always there. It's my best friend. It helps me with any kind of mood or emotion I'm going through. And from that point onward, I started to pay a lot more attention to what I'm listening. And I always ask the question, why as well. So that's sort of was the start of how these both really consciously connected for me.
Yes. Wow. So you mentioned before that music kind of helps you make sense of the world. How does how does that work?
Right, now we're going a bit into the woo-woo thing, it seems. um, I'm at the point now, and that obviously took quite a while to get to that stage where, and I call them kind of, and again, there's a music connection there. I call them downloads. So sometimes I'm just walking, let's say, from like the kitchen to the bedroom or whatever, and all of a sudden a song pops in my head. And at first, I can't make sense. Why am I thinking about that? But then once I start to digest it, I realize that generally it's either the lyrics or the vibe, the sound that has a meaning to something that I might be going through, pondering, or should be looking at.
Mm.
So this is where, yeah, this I call them downloads, and then I have to go away and obviously either reflect on that, or sometimes I have to leave it for a few days to understand why that song appeared in my life. And all of a sudden then I go, okay, I think I understand. I need to pay attention to this, or this is a support for what I'm going through, and it's here to tell me everything's going to be okay, or maybe you should look at it from that point of view. It's like these little messages that I'm getting. And yeah, that's something I've developed over time, but it's really helping me navigate the world a lot better.
Wow. Okay. So when these songs come to you, are you generally like listening to music, or is it they just pop into your brain from your memories or imagination?
It can vary. Sometimes I just walk like from my home to the shops, and all of a sudden I'm going, why have I got this song stuck in my head? I haven't heard this song in like months or years. Why now? Or I walk into, sometimes when we go grocery shopping as well, they just play a song that they've never played ever in this grocery store. And I just listen to it and go, okay, why is this song playing? And then I just hear like one or two lines of the song. I'm going, yeah, okay, yeah, I get it. Just hold on a sec. I know what you're saying. But sometimes my playlist is on shuffle and this song comes up that I've not heard for a while, and I go, really? Now? Why? Okay, yeah. I'll pay attention and I'll listen to it again. So it really happens at random most of the time with no real logic, I don't think.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, because like when I relate to music and I might put it on if I need to relax, I'll put on something relaxing or something upbeat, and it helps me shift my mood or emphasize my mood. That's a choice that I'm making. But these are song choices that are not yours. They're just sort of coming to you and you're trying to retrospectively figure out why and what does that mean to you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you give us an example?
I can give you two. One happened to me early last year, when I went through a bit of we'll say, mild depression phase. There were some things going on in my life, and I was just really down and out, and I could see like a really black hole coming my way, and I did enter it. And this artist, he's called RM. He's one of the 7 members of the South Korean band BTS. He released a solo album a little bit earlier that year, and this one song called Wildflower just popped on my radar out of nowhere. And I listened to it, and the first thing that came to mind was, this is my song to get out of the black hole. And just obviously translating the lyrics from Korean, because I don't speak Korean, and reading up on the meaning behind it, I was like, this is a perfect song for me. It really helped me, sort of stabilize myself and then gradually find the light again. So that's one example. And just recently, I'm into K-pop, so I'm just going to say that up front at this point in time.
By the BTS reference.
Yeah, just sort of, as a heads up. I love all styles of music, but at the moment that's sort of kind of a little bit my jam. Yeah. And there's this other Korean band, and they just released a song called Work. And it talks about, working and, making the money to pay for things. And I'm like, yeah, that and it just came. And I'm like, yeah, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm trying to do. Why are they releasing a song now that's exactly talking about my current business phase? Really? Thank you. So these are two examples of how it happens for me.
Yeah, I love it. It's kind of like signs from the universe, but it's actually just songs for you.
That's how I see it.
That's so good. And so do you think that this, how meaningful music is to you, is that, do you think, because of your introversion and it is this kind of solo activity that you can participate in? Or do you think it's because you have loved music since the beginning? Or is there like this innate connection between introversion and music?
Oh, that's a good question. Hmm. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's so many extroverts out there who are absolute huge music lovers. And because music is a universal language, so I don't think it necessarily has to do with introversion or extroversion. It's if you love music and you're into it, maybe we're a bit more open to receiving things like that, perhaps. So I wouldn't say that introversion is one of the main reasons. It might help, I suppose. But if you're a music lover, then yeah, I think that's probably more important than whatever other label you want to call yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of like the chicken or the eggs sort of
Mm,
situation.
yeah, it's a
We'll
tough
never
one.
know. We'll
It's a
never
tough
know.
one.
Oh, that's so good. And so do you like to listen to a range of different music? Does that always inspire you? Or is it particularly within this, specific genre that you like to listen?
I thank my mum for that. She introduced me to so many different genres of music that I don't necessarily have one specific. I love heavy metal. I love pop, rock, R&B, hip hop. I love some piano music. You know, I try to be very open-minded and yeah, I mean, you should see my playlists. They're not just one genre. They go from 80s, 90s, 2000, different genres. So it's, yeah, I'm pretty open-minded, I think. I hope. So yeah, it's hard to pick. I couldn't tell you what my favorite genre will be. So
Yeah.
no.
So I'm kind of the same. I've got a bit of an eclectic list of songs that I listen to, going from 50s onto Taylor Swift and then back onto something something else. My husband always laughs that he can't keep up with what I'm listening to these days because it's so random.
Oh dear.
But I like that because it's like sort of an exploration of, if you don't hem yourself into, labels or particular genres that you just want to stick to, you're opening your mind to be able to explore and discover new music as well.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. And lately I've learned of many new sort of indie artists, and that opens my brain and mind again to the beauty of songwriting and literally the craft of playing an instrument and composing and producing and all that, which I have no idea about really because I'm not in that industry, but it's incredible, like the talented people that are out there and just making their own music as well. So yeah, it's yeah, open-minded is, I think, really not just from a music perspective, but generally in life. I think it's something we should nurture for sure.
Mm, mm. So tell me about living on the B side.
Oh, okay. Where do I start? It's basically has two meanings to me. For those who are my age, which is a little bit older, they remember the vinyls and they have an A and B side. So obviously living on the B side is a reference to the B side of a vinyl or even a cassette tape if you want to go down that road. And it's also talking about my life living for a long time, what I called in the shadows, hidden and not really noticed. So living on the B side has really started because of my love of music, how grateful I am that I have it, and also sharing kind of my journey in life from where I came from, my struggles, and where I am today and where I'm going, and connect that with the music side of things.
Yeah. So this is your podcast and also your blog, but you also do a little bit of coaching. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, it's been a long time coming. So now I'm into a bit of coaching as well, mainly about how to use music for self-reflection and how that can actually help with our emotional well-being. And if we know ourselves better, then we can make better decisions. And music is a really, really great way to help us with that. And I mean, our well-being, especially the mental one, I think is very, very, very important. And sadly, since the pandemic, mental health is not that good for many people. And if I can help anyone through sharing my journey and help them a little bit along the way with some tools I've learned now, then my day, my life is made.
It really sounds like you have this kind of calling there to do this type of work. And I've listened to some of your podcast episodes. I think they're wonderful. I listened to one the other day where you were unpacking TLC's Unpretty.
Oh my God.
That song. It was really great. And I just really liked your analytical approach to unpacking what this song is about and how it relates to you. Is that like the type of stuff that you do within your coaching when you're helping people?
Look, I'm at the start of it, so I'm still looking at obviously how I can turn my experience into tools that others can use. But yes, I do think that at the core of it is the awareness, becoming conscious of what you're listening to, and then starting to ask yourself the questions why. And you can obviously unpack that in different ways. So that can be through journaling, that can be through just going for a walk, that can be through talking to someone like myself, and someone asking you questions. So there's different ways you can probably do that. And I think if you learn how to approach that without obviously losing the love for music, because it shouldn't get boring or too analytical, then I think that can be such a powerful tool for us to really understand ourselves and then our world, and move forward a bit happier and healthier.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I do think it's so many people just kind of consume music without doing anything a little deeper. And like you said, you don't want to get too analytical with it all. You want to enjoy the music, but this is kind of a good reminder to actually take a step back and just have a little think about what you're listening to and why, and how does it make you feel. Because I think that there'd be a lot of great benefits for doing that.
And the other thing as well is sometimes we forget how impactful some, maybe even artists or songs are at specific points in our life. And on my podcast, I do have guests on, and some of them have incredible stories to tell about how one song or an artist literally kept them sane, helped them through hardship, helped them through whatever it is they were going through. And we kind of forget that maybe, or we don't pay enough attention. So just basically the power of music, I just don't want people to take it for granted. It's such a creative outlet, and in so many different ways you can use music, for so many different things in your life if you want to. So I think that's probably is my mission, to just bring that awareness to everybody.
Yeah. I mean, we would all have songs in our life where you hear it and you're instantly transported back to a time in your life or a feeling in your life. It's amazing how powerful it can be.
Yes. Oh God, yes. And I have to say, through my journey of obviously hearing from others and in myself, I can attest to that. It's mind-blowing sometimes. I often have goosebumps when I hear other people tell their stories, and I just go, wow, I know the power of it, but you just literally took it to the next level for me, that kind of moment. Yeah.
Oh,
amazing.
Beautiful. It's definitely a great podcast to tune into. I'll pop the link to it in the show notes. But tell me, what is next for you? So you've gone on this journey yourself. You've launched Living on the B-Side, which is doing so well. What is next for you?
As you mentioned before, me obviously stepping into the position of where I can share my story and hopefully help others create their own bond with music and help them feel happier and healthier, one song at a time, I always say, and just create this ripple effect in the world to showcase and say, hey, don't underestimate the power of music. Use it for your own well-being, and spread the love and spread the music with others, because there's so many health benefits to music. I could go into all this, mental health and other health stuff that's going on with music, but that's basically my next step, just really trusting myself and stepping into that more, and inviting other people to join me on this little sound wave of music that's hopefully gonna get bigger and bigger.
Oh, love it. That sounds so good. Before I let you go, I just want to ask you, can you now, knowing the importance of music to you, can you ever imagine a life without music?
No. No, I can't, because I've always had it, and not having it would feel like a huge piece of myself would be gone.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah.
No.
I
Absolutely
suspected
no.
that might be the answer, because the way you're speaking about music is that you are so intertwined with it, and it's really part of the fabric of your DNA, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a joy. It's really a joy to see you talk about it.
Oh, thank you.
And I want to say thank you so much for sharing your journey with me. It's wonderful to hear how music has influenced your life. As I said before, I'll pop the links in to Living on the B-Side in the show notes so people can get in touch with you, listen to your podcast, or get in touch for the coaching. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, Abby, thanks so much for having me on. I enjoyed it. It was great. Love the energy, and thank you again.
I mean, I love talking about creativity, and exploring music is just another avenue of that. So it's fantastic. And also, thank you to everyone who's tuned in to this episode of Creativity Uncovered. I hope that you got something out of it. I know I certainly did. If you enjoyed this episode, please do share it with a friend, or give us a rating or review so more people can find this and tune in. Until next time, take care. If you've made it this far, a huge thank you for your support and tuning into today's episode. Creativity Uncovered has been lovingly recorded on the land of the Cubby Cubby people, and we pay our respect to elders past, present, and emerging. This podcast has been produced by my amazing team here at Crisp Communications, and the music you just heard was composed by James Gatling. If you liked this episode, please do share it around and help us on our mission to unlock more creativity in this world. You can also hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episode releases.